It may surprise you, but what I'm about to share goes against everything you've been told about women. Forget the advice from your mother, society's rules, romantic movies, or past relationships. You're about to see the truth. Over 500 years ago, Machiavelli studied powerful women in European courts and discovered something so sensitive it was never written down. What he saw could have ruined him. Today, I'll reveal 9 clear strategies for interacting with women in a way that makes you genuinely attractive, without begging, chasing, or giving up your self-respect. While most men scramble for attention, you'll learn to be the man women notice and desire naturally. The 9th strategy is the most powerful, but it only works if you understand the first 8. Pay attention. This could completely change the way you attract and connect with women. Value her, don't idolize her. There's a subtle but critical difference between valuing a woman and putting her on a pedestal, and most men get this wrong. Confusing the two kills attraction every time. Valuing her means treating her as a real person. You listen, pay attention, respect her time, and consider her opinions. Idolizing her, on the other hand, is elevating her above yourself, acting as if she is flawless and tolerating behavior you would never accept from anyone else. It's the mindset of, I'll overlook anything because I like you. That mindset is dangerous. Machiavelli once said, "The man who becomes a sheep will be eaten by wolves." In relationships, this could not be truer. Men who worship women remove tension, and tension is what drives attraction. Without it, there's no challenge, no intrigue, no spark. Women instinctively feel less drawn to men who put them on a pedestal because the dynamic becomes predictable and dull. Here's a practical example. She arrives late for a date without notice. A man who worships her might say, "No worries, it's fine." A man who values her would respond, "I respect my time, let me know next time if you're going to be late." Notice the difference. One man begs silently for approval, the other communicates clearly and maintains his self-respect. Women may not consciously analyze it, but their brains register this distinction immediately. Boundaries and self-respect signal strength, confidence, and stability, qualities that are deeply magnetic. Valuing her also means being honest and standing your ground. A man who never disagrees or always says yes becomes uninteresting and weak in her eyes. She wants a partner with backbone, someone capable of thinking independently and taking a stand without creating drama. Compliment her beyond her appearance. Acknowledge her intelligence, determination, or the way she handles challenges. Saying, "I admire how you manage that situation," carries far more weight than empty flattery like, "You look amazing." True recognition shows you see her depth, not just her surface. Respect does not mean tolerating disrespect. If she crosses a line, address it calmly. "I don't like when you do that. Let's find a better way." If she refuses to adjust, you must reconsider how much of your time and energy she deserves. Women respond to consistent boundaries, not endless forgiveness. Ultimately, don't idolize, but always value. Keep your standards high, protect your boundaries, and project unwavering confidence. A man who masters this naturally becomes magnetic. Valuing her signals strength, independence, and a life of purpose, qualities that women cannot resist. Prioritize your life, not her. There's a truth few will ever admit. The belief that giving all your attention, energy, and focus to a woman will make her love you more is misleading. Society, movies, and countless advice books have perpetuated this idea for decades. In reality, the opposite is true. When a man places a woman at the center of his universe, he sacrifices the very qualities that naturally generate attraction. Desire is delicate, and it thrives when a man possesses depth, direction, and independence. Women are drawn to men who live with purpose, presence, and self-possession, not to neediness or dependence. The idea that a woman wants to be the center of a man's life is a misconception. Most women do not seek the burden of being responsible for someone else's happiness. What they are instinctively attracted to is a man who already has structure, goals, and momentum. A man who ties his identity or sense of fulfillment to a woman signals scarcity and weakness. This emotional dependence kills desire before it can even flourish. When a man's confidence, joy, or self-worth is anchored entirely in another person, it sets off unconscious alarms. Predictability, emotional neediness, and lack of autonomy diminish tension, the key ingredient in attraction. A woman's brain perceives this as a lack of value. Desire, after all, is rooted in biology. It responds to strength, independence, and self-sufficiency. Dependency communicates incompleteness, reducing the chemistry and magnetic pull that naturally draw people together. Men who pursue a mission, a vision, or personal goals independent of romantic interests become inherently magnetic. Purpose fuels focus. Purpose fuels energy. Purpose fuels presence. It conveys competence, strength, and self-respect without saying a word. A man moving through life with direction radiates vitality that is impossible to ignore. Women notice it, whether consciously or subconsciously, because such energy is rare. Most men lack it, so it instantly commands attention. A meaningful life doesn't require validation or permission from others. When your life is filled with ambition, curiosity, challenges, and growth, it naturally projects value. Conversely, a life that revolves around external approval, attention-seeking, or validation appears hollow and drained. Scattered, dependent energy kills attraction. Focused, independent energy sparks it. True attraction is not about giving someone everything they desire. It emerges when you embody completeness. Independence, purpose, and authenticity communicate value in a way that is both powerful and subtle. A man who leads a full and meaningful life projects strength, not arrogance, and invites connection rather than pushing it away. Women are naturally drawn to vitality, movement, and significance. They want to join a life that is alive, not carry the weight of someone else's incompleteness. Ultimately, having priorities beyond a woman is not a tactic, it's reality. It reflects self-respect, personal growth, and a life that stands on its own. It demonstrates that you are a man whose energy, vision, and purpose create attraction effortlessly without manipulation or compromise. A full, purposeful life doesn't need to chase attention. It commands it naturally. Anything less, however, fades into the background. Master the art of giving energy wisely. One of the most effective ways to maintain attraction and influence in relationships is by managing how you distribute your energy and attention. The way you engage with others, through warmth, presence, and care, sends a silent message about your value and priorities. However, not everyone deserves the same level of emotional investment. Offering equal attention to everyone diminishes its significance, making your energy seem ordinary, predictable, and easily taken for granted. Giving energy selectively is about balance, not manipulation. It is a reflection of self-respect and personal boundaries, signaling that your time, attention, and affection are limited and precious. When you direct warmth toward people who uplift you, respect your boundaries, and contribute positively to your life, it amplifies connection and deepens attraction. Energy given thoughtfully becomes rare and valued, naturally fostering appreciation and mutual engagement. On the other hand, distributing warmth indiscriminately to those who disrespect you, create unnecessary drama, or undermine your stability has the opposite effect. It reduces your perceived worth and can encourage behaviors that drain your life of energy. When emotional investment is given carelessly, it becomes predictable, ordinary, and psychologically less compelling. People are wired to notice patterns of energy allocation, often responding unconsciously to the subtle cues of attention and engagement. Your selective approach communicates confidence, self-awareness, and inner strength. It is crucial to understand that this principle is not about punishing or excluding others. It is about preserving your integrity and demonstrating that care and attention are earned, not freely given to anyone. Energy expended without discretion often goes unnoticed or wasted, whereas energy given intentionally creates respect, attraction, and genuine connection. Additionally, selective energy reinforces boundaries effortlessly. It signals what is acceptable and what is not without confrontation or harsh words, naturally filtering relationships. Those who appreciate your energy gravitate toward you, while those who do not are gently distanced. This method aligns with emotional intelligence, fostering interactions that are more balanced, meaningful, and psychologically healthy. Ultimately, the practice of giving energy wisely reflects stability and self-mastery. It communicates that you are in control of your emotions, your attention, and your life. A person who embodies this principle becomes magnetic without needing to boast or justify themselves. Their presence is felt deeply because their energy is intentional, rare, and aligned with respect for themselves and others. Mastering this skill strengthens relationships, preserves vitality, and enhances the natural power of your presence. The power of patience in conflict. Many men fall into the trap of rushing to resolve every argument as soon as it arises. They fear tension, crave approval, and feel compelled to restore harmony instantly. This urgency often stems from insecurity and emotional dependence. Men who act from this place tend to view discomfort as dangerous and believe it must be erased immediately. Unfortunately, this behavior can backfire, reducing respect and lowering attraction because it conveys neediness and lack of inner strength. Confident men take a different approach. They recognize that tension is a natural part of relationships and that not every disagreement demands an instant solution. By allowing space, they create room for both parties to reflect, cool down, and process emotions. Distance provides clarity and perspective, letting feelings settle instead of escalating into unnecessary conflict. Resisting the impulse to chase immediate resolution communicates patience, self-assurance, and emotional stability. This approach often produces more meaningful results. When a man maintains his composure and allows space, a woman has the chance to examine her own actions, recognize boundaries, and consider his viewpoint. Over time, this fosters deeper respect and appreciation. She sees him as steady, reliable, and self-controlled, qualities that naturally increase attraction. The relationship energy remains balanced and the bond strengthens organically without force or manipulation. Choosing not to rush resolution does not mean being cold or detached. It reflects a commitment to one's own emotional equilibrium and a refusal to tie self-worth to temporary approval. A man who demonstrates calm patience becomes magnetic because his presence radiates clarity, confidence, and emotional intelligence without needing to prove anything. In essence, restraint in conflict is not weakness. It is an expression of true strength. Project confidence through abundance. One of the most common mistakes men make is acting like their attention is scarce, as if a single woman is their only opportunity. This mindset quietly kills attraction, even if you don't realize it. The key is to live as though you have choices, not to lie or play games, but to shift the way you see yourself. True confidence comes from feeling complete on your own, without needing validation from her or anyone else. When you internalize that, your behavior naturally communicates strength and self-assurance. Women rarely judge a man solely by his words. They are far more attuned to how he behaves, especially under subtle pressure. Do you appear relaxed or anxious, confident or needy? Men who seem desperate or overly available appear weak, while men who carry themselves with calm abundance convey power. Her mind constantly evaluates without her realizing it. Questions like, if he's giving me all this attention, why aren't other women chasing him? If no one else wants him, what am I missing? These reactions are instinctive, much like how people perceive value in products. An item that's always available feels cheap, but when many compete for it, its perceived value skyrockets. So how can you show this abundance without being cold or dismissive? First, protect your schedule. Don't cancel important plans for someone in the early stages. If you have gym sessions, work projects, or time with friends, stick to them. Politely offer alternatives. I already have plans that day, but Thursday evening works. This communicates that your life is full and purposeful. Second, manage communication naturally. Don't feel the need to reply immediately to every message, not as a manipulation tactic, but because your life is genuinely busy. When you do respond, be present, kind, and engaged, but never apologize for having a life. Constantly saying sorry signals insecurity, not confidence. Third, pace emotional disclosure. Sharing your entire story too soon can overwhelm and create pressure rather than connection. Mystery fuels intrigue, and trust should grow gradually. Finally, understand that abundance is not arrogance. A man with genuine options doesn't need to boast or compete for attention. He invests in himself, his growth, and his purpose. That quiet confidence, rooted in independence, is magnetic. The power of surprising presence. Many men misunderstand the idea of being unpredictable. They often confuse it with erratic or unstable behavior, believing that keeping others guessing means acting wildly or inconsistently. In reality, there's a significant distinction between unpredictability that is magnetic and instability that repels. Emotional instability is harmful. It creates tension, triggers anxiety, and destroys attraction. It comes from overreacting, allowing emotions to spiral, or changing moods without reason. Women instinctively recognize this instability as a danger signal on a deep, subconscious level. True unpredictability, however, is alluring. It is subtle, natural, and exciting, sparking curiosity because others can never fully anticipate your next move. Our brains are wired to notice novelty, contrast, and unexpected experiences. When someone is predictable, their patterns quickly become familiar, and the brain categorizes them as ordinary. Predictability leads to boredom, diminished interest, and fading desire. By introducing natural variations in behavior and energy, you keep the mind engaged, tension alive, and attraction sustained. Biologically, unpredictability is stimulating because the brain releases dopamine in response to the unexpected. Dopamine is the chemical of pleasure, motivation, and focus, making novel experiences feel rewarding. If someone is entirely predictable, the brain stops responding with this chemical, and their presence becomes background noise. When a person carries a subtle, unpredictable energy, it activates curiosity, attention, and engagement, keeping relationships fresh and exciting without any overt effort. Being unpredictable does not involve deception, manipulation, or performance. It reflects a life that is dynamic, full, and authentic. Men who live varied, purposeful lives naturally exhibit unpredictability. They may be deeply focused and serious one day, immersed in their work or personal goals, and lighthearted, playful, or spontaneous the next. This variation feels real because it arises from genuine life engagement, not from trying to impress, control, or confuse anyone. Authentic unpredictability stems from being alive and grounded, not from strategic posturing. The essence of this trait lies in balance. It allows interactions to remain stimulating without creating fear or uncertainty. It keeps someone interesting and engaging while still dependable in meaningful ways. This balance fosters a sense of freshness, anticipation, and intrigue. People are drawn to it instinctively because it activates both curiosity and pleasure in the brain. Ultimately, unpredictability is one of the most compelling forms of attraction. It signals vitality, independence, and presence, silently communicating strength without the need for explanation. A man who embodies this energy lives fully in his own life, naturally engaging others with the unpredictability of his attention, focus, and behavior. Being alive, varied, and present is magnetic in its own right, an understated but powerful form of influence that captivates and maintains interest over time. Mastering emotional independence in attraction. One of the most overlooked aspects of true attraction is the ability to remain composed and intact, even if a woman decides to walk away. Many men mistake this concept for arrogance, indifference, or manipulation, but it is none of these. At its core, it is about emotional resilience and self-sufficiency. True power arises from inner stability, self-reliance, and the understanding that your life is not dependent on anyone else's presence. Being able to step back without losing composure does not involve issuing threats, creating drama, or manipulating outcomes. It isn't about ultimatums or trying to force someone to stay. Rather, it reflects your internal state. Your sense of peace, confidence, and self-worth exists independently of any romantic connection. When a man fears rejection or abandonment, that fear subtly governs his behavior, tone, and energy. Every word, gesture, and expression can betray neediness or insecurity, often without conscious awareness. Women pick up on this instinctively. Fear and desperation are repellent, while strength and stability generate attraction. A man who can detach gracefully demonstrates boundaries, self-respect, and unshakable confidence. He does not seek validation from external sources, nor does he link his happiness to another person. This does not make him cold or emotionally unavailable. It means he regulates his own feelings and protects his energy. He understands that no single person can fulfill every aspect of life. Men who exhibit this autonomy radiate reliability, steadiness, and confidence, qualities that naturally draw attention. Independence is inherently magnetic because it signals value. People are instinctively drawn to those who are complete on their own. When a man maintains his emotional equilibrium and thrives regardless of a relationship, he becomes a source of intrigue, stability, and security. Women subconsciously notice the distinction between dependence and autonomy. The dependent man communicates scarcity, uncertainty, and need, while the self-sufficient man communicates abundance, strength, and confidence. This contrast taps into primal psychological patterns and drives attraction on a level words cannot reach. Being emotionally unattached to outcomes does not mean shutting off feelings. It means cultivating the ability to care deeply and invest fully without losing your own identity in the process. It allows interactions and relationships to flow naturally, without pressure, manipulation, or desperation. Maintaining your integrity and personal direction becomes the priority rather than trying to control someone else's actions. A man who embodies calm independence exudes a security that cannot be shaken. He remains grounded, focused, and unafraid of change. His energy is steady, regardless of shifting circumstances, and this consistency becomes magnetic. Women perceive it subconsciously, recognizing competence, resilience, and completeness. The capacity to walk away without breaking is not a trick or strategy. It is the outcome of self-mastery. It reflects a man who is whole, confident, and living according to his own values. In essence, attraction is not about chasing, clinging, or attempting to manipulate. It stems from building a life and identity that remain strong, complete, and unshakable, regardless of who comes or goes. A man who embodies this energy earns respect, inspires desire, and naturally draws people into his orbit, not out of need, but because his life is rich, compelling, and fully his own. The magnetic power of personal standards. Attraction begins with clarity about what you will and will not accept in your life. Having personal standards is not about judging appearances or superficial traits. It's about knowing what values, behaviors, and qualities truly matter. A man who maintains genuine standards demonstrates that his time, energy, and attention are not to be taken lightly, which in turn naturally shapes how others approach and treat him. Standards are a reflection of self-respect. They establish clear boundaries that define what is acceptable in a relationship and what is not. By upholding these boundaries, a man communicates strength and confidence without arrogance. Those who honor his standards signal alignment and shared values, while those who fall short reveal whether they are worthy of his investment. A man without standards, on the other hand, projects availability and low value, making it easy for others to take him for granted or manipulate him. Scarcity and significance are lost, and with them, attraction diminishes. True standards emphasize character over convenience. They reveal how a person handles life's challenges, treats others, and respects boundaries. For instance, does someone act with kindness even when it's inconvenient? Do they follow through on commitments and honor your priorities? Do they contribute positively to your life or create unnecessary tension? These behaviors distinguish people who enhance your energy from those who drain it. Women, whether consciously or not, pick up on these cues. When a man makes it clear that his attention is earned and that his energy is meaningful, it triggers desire naturally. Maintaining standards also reinforces confidence. When you refuse to accept anything that contradicts your values, you protect yourself from disrespect, manipulation, and chaos. This isn't about being inflexible or unkind, it's about knowing what is healthy, worthwhile, and compatible with your life. Consistency and clarity in boundaries draw people toward you because they signal certainty and self-assurance. The influence of standards is often subtle but powerful. They create a natural hierarchy of value, motivating others to rise to the occasion. When someone understands that they must earn your attention, their effort becomes genuine, meaningful, and respectful. Attraction increases because effort is recognized and rewarded. Ultimately, standards are not tools for control. They are a way of guiding your life with integrity and aligning relationships with your core values. A man who embodies them communicates worth effortlessly. His standards are visible in his presence, his decisions, and the way he allows others into his life. By upholding clear boundaries and respecting his own worth, he becomes magnetic. Confidence, clarity, and integrity radiate naturally, drawing the right people toward him while keeping energy drainers at a distance. The key to genuine attraction. True attraction isn't just about how you treat a woman. It's about how you treat yourself while treating her with respect. Women are drawn to men who value their own life, energy, and standards. Self-respect, personal boundaries, and integrity create a magnetic presence because they signal strength, stability, and authenticity. A man who honors his own needs, upholds his principles, and maintains his dignity communicates power without words. This isn't arrogance, it's a quiet confidence that says he is complete, grounded, and independent of anyone's validation. That energy is rare and irresistible. Setting standards for yourself, not only for her, drives true respect and desire. Compromising your values, tolerating disrespect, or seeking approval diminishes attraction. Conversely, caring for yourself, maintaining boundaries, and living by your principles naturally draws admiration and attention. Mastery over your own mind, emotions, and actions creates a commanding presence. You engage from confidence, not fear or need, showing freedom, abundance, and authenticity. Women feel this energy, and it becomes more compelling than charm alone. Ultimately, attraction grows from self-respect. A man who honors himself while treating others well becomes magnetic, scarce, and captivating. His life, energy, and presence speak louder than words, forming a pull that can't be ignored. Final thought. This insight is potent. Use it to grow, not just influence. Focus on building yourself first. Become a man you genuinely respect. Then attraction and respect flow naturally. If this resonated, share and subscribe. Next, we'll reveal the subtle signs a woman loses respect and how to restore it. Remember, he who masters his mind shapes his life. Everything else falls into place.